So a very good evening to everybody present here. I am Farzana, Contractor. I'm going to be moderating this session. And I have to tell you, the subject is something which is very happy and universally popular, which is to do with food and drink. I think food has suddenly become a subject which is like huge. I mean, the whole world seems to have just got totally food obsessed now. I mean, you have restaurants opening every other day. You have people traveling to different countries in search of different cuisines. In fact, it's now backward integration. They don't travel to a place, they travel to a place where the cuisine they want to try. And all such things, basically. But there's another offshoot of this. And I don't know which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Along with food, there's another national and international obsession, which is to shoot the food and to write about it, to blog, which is what is our subject today. You know, we want to arrive at a conclusion about who is it who's really driving the market. Is it the foodie? Is it the writer? Is it who? Is it the restaurant guys? So that is what we're going to now today actually undertake to do. So I'm going to ask Amrish Arora, who is, you heard just now, restaurateur, Flamboyante and hammer and song, not thong, and all sorts of things. I mean, he's a huge caterer. He was probably only 22 or something when he asked me to be the chief guest to go and cut the ribbon for something called Go Bananas. Anybody knows that? Anybody knows Go? You do? Then you are our vintage. So he's been at it since that time. He's the first one to talk about rain dance and whatnot. So my question to you, Amrish, really is, what is the food scene in Bombay right now as you see it as a businessman, as a restaurateur?
Hi Farzana. I think this is a very interesting subject about the food scene vis-a-vis blogging. I think that's in a nutshell what we're talking here about. So the food scene, like who's stirring the pot, the first part of it is, I think, evolved in the last 7-8 years hugely. I mean, it's no more just about this cuisine or that cuisine. It's about because of the internet, because of social media, everything is the same whether you're sitting in London or New York. So the guys, the people who are your diners are very well versed with what they're wanting to expect. So the experience is not only about taste, it's about presentation, it's about the ambience, and it's bursting to its seams. I have not seen Bombay witness so many restaurants open and a lot close and turn around, and that's going on happening, but it's at a mad pace. If I was to go and ask a broker, boss, is this place available? And it would be an average location at a high price, he'd say it's gone. And I'd wonder why, you know, and it'll last for a year or so. So the food scene is actually a great entry point. It's an easy entry point, and it's easily accessible. The mic. Check. Yeah. So I'm just saying the food scene is more the restaurant scene right now. Is an easy access point for Zana, and everything is not so great, but some of it is fantastic, and we are very happy to be a part of this.
Yeah, so basically what I wanted to bring to the fore is that restaurants are opening like one a week, one a day, one a something or the other, and also equal amount are closing down. But we won't dwell on the closing down part now. Right now the whole scene, food scene and entertainment scene is so robust. It's not just restaurants, but it's also what do you call them, resto bars, and the longest bar and the biggest bar in Asia is here. What's it called? The Lord of the Drinks, and that kind of thing. So, Kalyan, you've been blogging for a long time. What is your view on, how many years have you been blogging?
11 now. 11.
So from 11 years ago to now, give me your take on it.
Well, it's completely changed in the last 11 years. So when I started food blogging, then food blogging per se was new. And there were very few magazines like yours which were concentrating entirely on food, and otherwise there was nothing much which was out there for us who loved reading about food. So when I started writing about food, it was more about stories from my life and places I'd go to and things I'd cook, people I'd meet and so on. And in Mumbai, there would be one or two new exciting openings every 3 months or something like that. And we'd go there and they'd all be like really fantastic and write about it and so on. If you look at 11 years later, there are probably 5 new openings happening across the city, and the city's expanded because earlier it was all in South Mumbai. Even Bandra didn't really have restaurants. Then it moved to Bandra West, then Versova exploded, Sakinaka, BKC, Parel, and everything like that. And there's so much happening over there that is great that there are also so many people who are out there now posting, whether it's on blogs, Instagrams, and so on. Because the fact of the matter is that it's not humanly possible to cover everything by say one person or one publication or so on. But yeah, it's completely exploded over now. And when there's so many outlets over there, then obviously there'll be some which are good, some not so good. I think earlier the success rate was better of the things which opened. They were more classical places. But I think that's the change.
So when Kalyan says that it's not humanly possible for one person to do this or whatever, and there's so much of mediums now that are covering it, whether it's television, whether it's food bloggers, digital space, or print media, or whatever, which is what actually gets me to Ronak. He began his blog, I think, as a hobby long, long ago, but today it's become a corporation. It's a corporate. He's got 30 people blogging under Mumbai Foodie. Mumbai Foodie. So let's ask him about his growth graph. How did this happen and why?
So obviously I started this about 5 years back as a personal hobby. I didn't have like any goals for it. It just was something out of, sorry. It was something I started out of passion, and obviously I started by myself. And over time, like, the team kept growing because I realized that there was one thing I was good at, but I would get other people on board who would like help me, get the other verticals going. For example, the photography aspects. I was good at it, but I got someone else on my team who was way better at it. And the number of restaurants that started opening in the last 5 years, the pace has increased tremendously, because of which we also increase our team size. We increase the kind of work we do with brands, and yeah.
So you want to tell us about, the 3 levels that you've got? Did you say that? No. So he's got this Mumbai Foodie,
Correct.
which is
So,
what does something.
yeah.
He's got the
Blowfish.
Right, the Blowfish, which actually works at helping hotels and restaurants to place whatever they want to talk in the premise, in the domain of public
Right.
knowledge.
Yeah. So in short, we also started a marketing agency to work in the hospitality space. This was about 3 years back. We currently work with about 25 brands, some of the best restaurants in Mumbai. So your Indigo Delhi, Coffee Patibala, Nara Thai, Chin Chin, etc. So we handle their social presence and create content for them as well.
So basically, he's got these 2 handles, and the good thing is that he also has a certain part where, now this is business, what he's talked about. We'll of course come to that because that is the whole crux of this discussion today. But the third thing is that they also do things where they do not do it commercially. But we'll come to that later. So next I come to Pooja Dhingra. I have to say I'm very disappointed that Pooja's come without any of her famous macaroons. I mean, I thought she'll come there and we'll be in the author's room, and I mean, who doesn't know about Pooja and her famous macaroons? So Pooja, you are a cafe owner, you are a store owner, you are a chef yourself, and you also do podcasts, a lot of things. How has it been for you?
I think it's been a great journey. I started Love 15 almost 8.5, 9 years ago, with just, working out of my home kitchen, which then led me to a central kitchen. And I say we started with 3 people. Today we are 120, 130. So yeah, it's a big team that's been growing rapidly, and I always say this, that every day is like you're going to war because you don't know what's going to happen at work that day. So challenges are far too many. But it's also very fulfilling to be able to share somebody's joy and happy moments. I think that's what food is great, right? Like you just take my name and you think of me giving you cake, which is great, right? So as a brand, we're able to be a part of people's happiest moments, their weddings, their birthdays, or even sad days when they just need some chocolate. So I think that my role in that is just trying to spread that sort of happiness and joy, and then do other things that inspire me creatively. And since digital media is so big right now, and it's so easy to reach your customers, I feel like I'm always connected to them. My staff thinks I have eyes everywhere, because if somebody goes to a store and has a bad experience, I'll know within 5 minutes. So I think that's really like, as a trying to do many things, I think that digital media really helps you stay connected to your.
Okay, I wish we had yet another person over here, would be a foodie, because I would like to ask that question, and perhaps I'd throw it open to any of you in the audience. She just said that this digital media is so fantastic and you can get connected so easily, and it's so simple to do it. Do you think, any of you, it's open to any of you, do you think that this knowledge and information and content material which comes to us is overwhelming? I mean, there's so much of it that as an ordinary person, if we're all connected in the trade, but if we were not, would it be an assault on our senses, and would we not know what to sift through and what to read, what not to see? Anybody who would like to take that question?
But I think that's the case with anything. It was with print before, or with
No.
regular journalism before. And I think the choice is for you, right? You'll follow things that you want to follow. Even when your feed, what you see is the things you're interested in. So if you're interested in food, you'll follow the pages that you want to. If not, then you won't see that. So it's and also now how the.
But I notice there are people who will probably be posting 1 post a day or 3 posts a day. I don't know whether that is an assault. I mean, for example, yours.
Yeah.
I went through your blog and I see that he's one of those few people who actually have a lot to say in depth. If you read Kalyan's posts, they studied, they're carefully put there. He might give a recipe, he'll do cross-section. So I'm not talking about something like that, which is the old-fashioned old way of really treating a subject. But if you see so many others, particularly the Instagrammers, it'll be 1 sentence. And that 1 sentence is supposed to tell you everything, and that 1 sentence is also abbreviated. It's not even a full sentence, it might be, I don't know.
So Farzana,
emojis.
I'll add to that, My point is that earlier, when I started my career, there used to be 4 reviewers. There'd be a busy bee, there'd be somebody who knew about his food, and all these people knew a lot about food. At least nobody else, there was very few people around. Because of the print media, was not instant. Right now, you have a review from a professional person who knows his food, and an amateur who doesn't know his food. The amateur, the problem with the social media is the amateur does us more harm than the good done by the professional, because the kids don't know that. They don't know they just know who's got more followers. And that could be for any reason. So, you need blowfish.
Sorry, let me step in here and just break it down. There are 2 kinds of people. One who actually wants to read, go in depth and understand what the food is about. Second, someone who's just looking to gain information about what's new, what's trending, what's happening in the city. So digital media covers both the aspects. So even if there are Instagrammers just writing short copies and leaving it in bits, it works for the audience.
You go ahead and I'll talk about what Amrish said.
If I can sort of add in, and I'll take on from where you were saying. And first of all, thanks for the kind words. But the fact is that, I was in marketing before, and in marketing they would say that, there are different types of markets. And similarly, there are different types of readers, or I would say consumers of stories, because it's not always about when you're looking at vlogs or podcasts and you're just watching or listening. So you're not even reading. And the fact is that you always seek out people whom you can connect with. So for example, let me talk of someone whom I really admire and I still do. And I had the fortune of working with him. So Veer Sanghvi, and I really admire his writing. When I bought his first book, The Root Food, and I read it, there was a lot in it on truffles and stuff like that. And this is not the birdies or crozas, etc. sort of truffles. And a lot of that I couldn't relate to. But with time, one did. So now what I'm saying is that, say I'm a college student and I want to go out on a date, and I want to figure out which is a place where I won't blow out my budget and where I can get a bit of privacy, but again, not too quiet because I'm stuck with someone I don't like, then I won't get an answer for that in, say, Finely Chopped, right? I would look out for someone who's my peer group and who's posting something. So I think there's a market or audience for everyone. You find out whom you relate to, whom you can connect
Okay,
with.
so there are two things to this. One is we're talking about the person who goes to these restaurants and eats, okay? And you look at what his age group is. But just now we were talking about the people who are writing, the bloggers, the young people. So let's just stick to that first, so we can come back to the customer, to the client a little later. So if you look at the ones who are blogging, writing, we say blogging because that's a subject, but it could even be somebody writing in a magazine or doing a review in a newspaper or whatever. So the charge generally is, and I did my research before coming here with different people in the demographics, different demographics, that would you follow what, if you, let's say, Googled and said Rue de Liban or Hammer and Song, the latest on 2 new restaurants which have opened in Bombay. So you'll Google and a whole lot of reviews will come up. So would you spend your time just reading every review over there? Or would you just skim through? Or would you say, no, no names, unless it comes to a Veer Sanghvi and it stops or something else like that? Would you do that? Because the charge is, from the people I've questioned, they have largely zilch knowledge. Bloggers have zilch knowledge. They have zero authenticity. You know, those kind of charges. Because, I mean, if there are as many restaurants as there are bloggers as many as restaurants, who are we going to do this thing? So we're first talking about that, the bloggers, not the clients. So, like for example, Pooja, you. Now you deal with such lovely things. I must also tell you 2 things. A, I had never been to your site before, and I was going through it last night, and I was so impressed. She's an Instagrammer. I was so impressed because the quality of pictures was amazing. Now the pictures, now that's the word I want to tell you, it's terrible, it's taboo, amazing, but yes. I mean it genuinely, it is amazing. And you do, apart from writing 1 sentence, also write sometimes a paragraph or whatever. So all that is good. But does it really give you the traffic?
You know, so I think the way millennials function now, and I think that brands have realized this, is that brands don't market directly to them. It's more peer-to-peer marketing that works, which is why you're seeing the rise in this influencer culture. So no one would actually go and check what someone else has said about a restaurant, but you will just see your feed to see if one of your friends has gone there, someone on your list has gone, and what they think of that restaurant. And I think that's the way, you know, the marketing today is working, because you listen to peers more than you listen to brands themselves.
Absolutely. That is what came through also with my research. Everybody says that we're going to, you know, I would ring up a friend and say, listen, this is open. Have you gone and have you been there? Is it good? So that means word of mouth is still king. It is, right?
And then who do you trust with that, right? So if
your own friends you'd probably trust.
Exactly.
More than what the website of the restaurant is.
Or if you follow like a food blogger, like someone who's credible, or a critic, or a chef. You know, so there are some people whose word you would just take, you know, on the face
No, but
of
you
it.
know, if I have to come to Ronak, now you've got 30 people blogging. It's under the head of Mumbai Foodie.
Yes.
So it takes me to the credibility factor. How credible is a review under that banner? Because y'all don't put names, or do you put names?
Of what?
Of the people writing it?
We
So,
do.
so if you want to say Zenith.
So I'll tell you how it works for us. We have a website, mumbaifoodie.com, where the reviews are posted for all the restaurants that we visit, restaurants, bars, hotels, etc. But when it comes to Instagram, we are letting people know over there that okay guys, there's a review on the website, so go check it out. So what you see on Instagram is a very short information about that place. But when you actually go to the website and read the full review, there is a detailed review about the place. So there is credibility over there.
So people can build up a fan following.
Absolutely. Each individual in my team can build up its own fan following.
How do you hire the people who write?
It depends, right? There are a couple of people on my team who actually have who are like chefs and who have like catering background, who are students of the culinary industries. So, and they also have writing
Is
skills at
there,
the same
is there an age group predominantly for you?
There are people who are 32, 33 years old. There's also the youngest on my team, I think about 24.
So that is my
So I
angst.
agree to what Pooja says. You know, the whole thing is, and what you said, Farzana, the word of mouth. The word of mouth has now become the word of friends in blogs. So we would rather take advice if we were to look at a new restaurant opening rather than a blogger, than a friend who wrote something that he liked this dish, and we won't call him up ever.
Yeah.
We know it's written. So the word of mouth has been replaced, like telephoning has been replaced by WhatsApp. So word of mouth has been replaced by a known friend's comment on a restaurant. So it's become impersonal, but it's we can take advantage of that.
Well, the thing is that, while this is happening, it's not in isolation to the food industry. In fact, way back in the mid-2000s, there were already studies in different sectors like FMCG, automotive, finances, and so on, which were showing that people were increasingly looking at word of mouth among people whom they knew rather than organized mass media for making their decisions. So what's happening in food is just following from that. It's just that now food is now blossoming as an industry, but it's following the pattern which has already got established in established industries. That it's more about word of mouth because there's a lot of cynicism about what's out there. My worry now is that what had started off as word of mouth today is often now collaborations, client activities and stuff like that. But unlike in the world of mass media, whether it's print, television, whatever, where like PR features would be demarcated as advertorials or as ads, in social media, whether it's blog or any other form, it's not always clear. Like big established sites like Mumbai Foodie and so on would perhaps put in over there that it's a collab or it's a paid thing. But a lot of people don't put that when they're hosted and stuff like that. I think that's being unfair to the readers.
Yes, in fact, that is what I was going to come to next. Do you all actually write over there that this is a paid review?
No, we don't.
No, I don't think anybody does.
But it's not a paid review. It's a paid post. It's not a paid review. A review is not paid. Our reviews are always editorial. The
But
post,
are you saying...
for example, I will announce a launch of a restaurant. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
you won't review it?
Right.
You don't review it. You just publicize that something is opened.
Exactly.
So
But-
that's a statement of fact then, that, so and
It's
so
information.
Yeah, but
It's
then-
information.
but without a point of view.
No, but
So
then
that's-
I think many bloggers also talk about food
no,
and...
so that's where it's wrong.
So
Where-
that is what I was
yeah.
coming to. If you remember long ago, when, let's take Times of India's Bombay Times, when they launched it, it was fantastic. All of us used to read it. Page 3 was the new thing happening and everything else. And bit by bit, it got so diluted that eventually you didn't know who's a celebrity and for what reason celebrity and what is a paid thing, what is not. And that was the channel that was going through was
It's a
MediaNet.
Times show.
Huh?
It's a Times show.
Yeah, I know. But let's be honest. But I'm saying that it's not just them, it's everybody who did it. So, so MediaNet. So over here, but you knew they used to mention it slightly, like MediaNet.
And Bombay Times starts off by saying that advertorial features at the top of
That's what the print media does. But in the digital format, nothing like that is there. Now you take somebody who is a 30 plus or a 35 or 40 plus person, most of them don't know. Amrish has just turned 50 and he's very clearly, categorically told his son who's 22, Ayush, that you must now handle all this thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm still going to concentrate on the print media. Right?
So we've divided our roles very clearly. He handles social media, I handle print
Why?
media.
I want to know why.
Because we've grown up with the romance of the book and the smell of the newsprint and the paper. We can't get rid of that. and we read the newspaper. These guys don't even read the newspaper.
No, but I think it goes beyond that. I think we're still talking about authenticity and credibility
we are talking about
factor.
authenticity is, even in the newspaper, you could have a paid review. They could have been
Yeah,
instances.
but we just said that.
Yeah,
that they
so,
write it.
yeah, so the roles are now, because social media, my son told me yesterday, I need another person to handle this if we have to open another restaurant. Because handling social media is handling 7 agencies. It's not just a blog. I mean, there is this tomato and that apple around. I didn't want to say it.
All right.
So there are many agencies which you have to be around to be relevant, if at all you feel. The only relevance I also debate is the product and the service. If it's good, automatically
So
you
how
get
do you
traction.
do it? Do you, when you opened Hammer and Song, did you send out invitations to a whole lot of people and they just came there and you're very happy with, how does it work?
No, we didn't do any of that. We just called our friends and family for both our parties. And we didn't do that typical party where you call influencers and bloggers. We didn't do that route. Because I just feel, ultimately, we want our friends and family who have supported us now for 25 years.
But you also wanted publicity and eyeballs.
Yes, so that came later, so not while we opened.
So later, tell me later.
So of course, later we can't live without them, because like all of you all know, that the press is not being read by anybody below 30. They don't read the newspapers.
I'm under 30, I'm reading it.
Except you, everybody is on their phone. So we can't live without that.
Okay. Pooja, actually I'll ask you because again, you've got stores and all that. If you were opening a new store now, how would you go about it?
We actually just opened a new one in Goregaon a month ago, and we did everything on social media. We just announced the launch, the menu, the information that people needed. We had this display of these giant macaroons that we hid in the mall somewhere, and people had to go find them and take,
Very creative, innovative
and take
ways.
pictures with
But
them.
social media, you
Yeah.
used fully.
fully.
And do you have to pay them?
No, not really. They are your customers. They're coming in to take it. We didn't do any tie-ups with anybody. It was just.
But there are commercials involved. Ronak, Kalyan.
I mean, at Love 15 and me, we personally do have a large following ourselves, so we don't really necessarily need to reach out.
Okay, so
outside.
you're lucky you've got a
So,
large
yeah,
following. You
yeah,
can
yeah, so
do that.
we can manage it internally. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, if I look at myself, then there are the... if I do it myself, there are 2 ways I do it. One was what I started doing in my blog, which was right in the beginning, which is telling stories from my blog. So, like, for example, we were talking about, you were saying about being a part of happy as well as sad moments of people's lives. So I think for the last 4 years, for my wife's birthday, we've been ordering the cake for Pooja. So now it's a part of our birthday, right? We put it up. What I didn't put up was that about a couple of years back, there was a job which I was working on and which didn't work out, this thing. And I came back home the day I got to hear about it. And there was a box of goodies from Pooja, which was completely coincidental. Some gentleman's box and stuff, blondies or whatever. And certainly having those made one feel better. So the point I'm making is that as someone who's still an individual writing out there, unlike, say, a company, there are stuff which I want to write about or which I experience, which I want to share with the world about, which could be with a 5-star or which could be about a Maharashtrian place in Parel, which is fine. But if a brand approaches me, whether it's a restaurant or a hotel or a FMCG or whatever, and they clearly approach me because they want to publicize it, then I believe that they need to pay for that because you're doing it for promoting yourself. So if you approach me saying that you want me to help you promote you, then I don't believe in barter or a free meal or a free night or whatever. It has to be paid and it'll be put there as hashtag ad or sponsored or whatever. Or there's stuff which I like and which I want to post about. So I think that's how it works for me.
Yeah, but that's the charge, you see. You said that if it's a corporate and whatever else, you'll do it and you will charge because they want promotions. But there are a lot of restaurateur friends of mine who very deridingly, they talk about, They just want a free meal and it doesn't matter how we do it. We just part with it. Because now, as a whole family, bloggers are bracketed together. There might be seniors, there might be juniors, there are a lot of people who say, free meal, yeah, let's just, it doesn't matter. So how do you deal with that?
I mean, your agencies that you have on board, your PR agencies, your marketing agencies, your brand managers need to know how to filter out from the influencer groups. It's as simple as that.
Sorry.
It's your agencies need to filter out the influencers and should know who's the good one and who's only doing it for the free food.
No, but
So,
see, as a restaurateur,
let
he might not take a chance. I mean,
Yeah, so
sorry, he
Filtering
wants to
point is
complete
an
it.
important-
No,
Yeah.
so actually wanted to go back to your discussion about word of mouth and how, so from a Mumbai foodie point of view, for example, I'm going to give a very relatable piece of content right now. Let's say I posted a post saying Izumi has now opened in Bandra. They have great Japanese food. Now, what that led to was 1,000 conversations on Instagram. That is word of mouth. That's how Mumbai foodies social media presence led to 1,000 conversations.
So that is just awareness that
Yeah,
happens first.
that's an
But
announcement.
subsequently,
It's at the top of the funnel.
stage 2,
Yeah.
everybody will want then their menu to be known, the pricings perhaps to be known.
Like I said, that's top of the funnel. Once they know Izumi is open, they can then head to Zomato
Yeah,
and check out
because
the menu.
it's first brand awareness and then getting to know what the brand is
That's right.
about.
So-
But if I get back to your question on like bloggers and free meals and stuff like that, it's something which I see a lot out there, and sometimes I wonder that should one feel bad about being called a blogger? And there've been a lot of people who've come and told me that we don't consider you as a blogger. You should be now a writer, this, that, whatever. But then what I thought was that, see, fact of the matter is that I blog, and there's no running away from that. And everything else which I do, including being up here, is because of the blog I run. Now, in every industry, whether it's magazines or cafes or restaurants, there will be bad apples and there'll be what you want to do. So you can either let the bad apples define what you want to do, and come on, like if I was in college and food blogging existed, even I would do that for the free meals. I don't blame that, but I got into blogging when I was in middle management, so I could afford my meals. But I think let's focus on what we can do. And I think the point which you made about filtering was also right, that you can call 100 people for free meals, but when they sort of write about it or post it, would it have the impact which someone who doesn't come
Okay,
would have it?
Amrish, you were saying something.
So I was saying about the subject of today is about what is the impact of these bloggers, who are the bloggers. I think that was what's the main subject is. So to that, like we have a restaurant in Alibag, it's called Boardwalk by Flamboyante. Now we get requests of reservations by bloggers. Now bloggers don't have a visiting card like the press of Afternoon or Times of India. Anybody can be a blogger or claim to be a blogger. And even after a meal, they will say, we are a blogger, give us a discount. So I get this from my managers. So there has to be something amongst the blogger community that can help us restaurateurs to at least distinguish, because it's becoming a bad word sometimes.
That's what I meant.
That's the
But go on.
problem. There's a damn good blog, but there are people who are misusing it. What do you do about that?
Okay, the word blogging has been abused for a very long time. But when a person comes up to you and says that, I think you should know then that is not the right person to work with ever.
He's going to write a bad review.
Yeah.
I don't think you should pay attention to it.
No, but see, as a restaurateur, for him, a bad review is
What
detrimental.
the price of a meal?
Is-
I'll pay the
exactly,
meal. I'd
yeah.
rather give him a free meal.
No, I'll tell you another thing. I mean, there were two people from my office. They went to a restaurant. I'll tell you, it was Clearing House. And there was somebody there, a well-known blogger. And they said, oh, okay, you come to write. And he said, no, actually, I'm invited by the PR company. And I'm not going to blog. So they looked at him quizzically. And he said, look, I'm not getting paid to blog. So it was so blatant. Well-known senior person. And another thing, talking about authenticity, knowledge of these bloggers. Some of them are real bachas, absolute bachas, who know nothing about food, absolutely nothing. And the first thing they do is, and I love this word, the whole food porn bit, start shooting. So again, my team, 2 people were at Basilico, and the soup came out. It was nothing, it was just not only soup. They were opening the Bandra outlet. And
Which one?
Bandra outlet, Basilico. And immediately they started to shoot. So this guy who used to write for me, Lyle is now in New York, he lives there. He said, I'm not going to eat this. First of all, the soup is cold. And he was not being snooty, he was just being, he knows his food. And then they were given sliders, which was cold as hell. So they called the chef, and Farhan Azmi was there. So he sat down and, okay, the chef came out and got them, but the others are shooting and instantly posting. So that's what gives the whole thing a very bad name and leaves a bad taste in mouths of editors like me. I mean, but
just like you and everyone else on this panel over here, we know the difference between a critic and a blogger. And I think everyone else online today knows what a critic is and what a blogger is. So
actually, that's a good one. I want to know, do you think, Kalyan, do you think there are many critiques left now?
I would really doubt that. See, first of all, I keep telling people that I'm not a critic because I write about my experiences. And with time, I think I've learned more about food because when I started, I was just someone who liked to eat. Now, if I define people who write in mass media or television and as the critics, now they are people who are very well-known faces, so they're not anonymous. When I walk into or Ronak walks into a restaurant, he would be recognized. And again, going back to Veer often writes in his columns that when I walk in, I'm recognized. Often, a lot of these people who are writing there are being invited in any case. So, I mean, I would not really go much with this thing of critic. I mean, is there any critic who can today make or break a restaurant in India? I really doubt it.
I agree and I second that. Pooja, you?
I agree with Kalyan. I think, and him as well, I think we know the difference between, a biased blog post or, someone really genuinely had.
It doesn't. Nobody is going to get...
Yeah, just a quick thing since, Pooja's here. When I first had the macarons, those days Poojas would come with macaron boxes. We're all giving you very, very... We're just pulling your legs. Sorry. Yeah, so, it was at a dinner at Rushina's house. And that's the first time I had macarons. And I found it very interesting. Told my wife about it and stuff like that. And then we became very fond of the dark chocolate macarons. But till then, we didn't really have a benchmark. Then one started traveling abroad and Sydney, Zurich, Prague, Paris, everywhere. One tried the macarons and the best of them. And then one figured out the benchmarks and every time I often message in private saying that, we are in Paris or we are in Tokyo, there's that. Still yours is the tops. On the other hand, having eaten steaks abroad, I would not waste my time having, steaks over here. So I think that when I first started writing about it, I was writing about just my experience of trying it and, breaking into something which is biscuity and crunches and then the cream and the sort of comes out. But later I could speak with a certain amount of authority saying that, okay, I've tried it here, tried it here.
So it's a question of getting evolved more and more. The experiences help you naturally.
Yeah.
But the basic
even when it
interest
comes
was
to
very deep.
yeah, and
no?
when it comes to a critic or even a chef, can one know everything? Would you know something about Polynesian food? And it's just, I'm saying,
I know what
no,
you
one
mean.
person can't know everything. So
it's very nice to hear that Kalyan speaks so candid and honest because that's what I feel. I come from a background, if I can say that, which is Busy Bee. Now, he was one person. This is like now, he started to write about food in 1959. Most people here were not even born. So he was majorly interested and so interested that he would go to a restaurant, sit with the chef. The cook had to be called out. He'd go at the end of the lunch session and write down in detail what went into the dish and what didn't go and that kind of commitment. Okay, so people like that are finished. There's just 1 or 2 people who do write reviews like that. And perhaps it's not even the need of the hour. Now nobody has the span to listen to or read that kind of stuff. So I agree, all that is fine. But just the authenticity, the knowledge, the research that you might do, all those kind of things is apparently not there. Like when I talk about critique, I have to say on a personal basis, in upper crust, we don't do critiques. I just personally feel that every chef puts his heart and soul into cooking food for you. And it just would not be right to walk in one day at a restaurant and just decide that the salt was less or this was more, that was less. So, and how can you, even if you eat 5 meals, decide that this restaurant is really the best or this is not? So what we do is we do recommendations. If we know for sure that this restaurant is good, then we will go because we have just 4 issues in a year. So we're very particular about that, and I can, and I feel good to know that when you say that.
Yeah, that's what I do as well. Like, I'm a very lazy traveler, so in Mumbai I don't travel too much. But I try to figure out, like, for example, like you said about Izumi, and I know the folks there, but even otherwise, if I, say, come across it somewhere and it says that, hey, ramen, and I went to Tokyo and I tried so much, let me go and see it, and it's of course in Bandra, then I will go and try it out. But, you know, trying to be everywhere just doesn't make sense, and you will get tired, you know, of eating all the time.
You know, you're saying this, but there are enough people who've made it a profession out of just going and eating and writing, and everybody's happy. So I want to come back to you. Can I go to him?
Can I just make a quick
Yeah.
point? But you know, it works both ways, because you were talking of chefs and passionate chefs. So if you see in the restaurant side also, and I think you're a great example, or even Pooja, for example, are people who stick on to like what they can handle. So like, for example, I know the folks at Candies, they will only stay in Bandra because they want, Baba Ling will not open beyond Ling's Pavilion. I know Pooja has been a very, very slow mover. You have only 1 or 2 restaurants. But on the other hand, there are people who are getting into it, and the fact is because it's a business for them.
That's
it's not because of love.
investor-driven.
Yeah, so because it's
Investor-driven.
not because of love of food. So it's not that every chef or every restaurant which is out there is for the love of food. I think it was more earlier.
Which you can see.
You know,
Which
you
you
know,
can see. I know what you mean.
I would say that in the Apurvas and all of that, it was more love of feeding people as well as running a business. Today, often it's just balance sheets.
That one knows. Because when you have an investor putting 200 crores into your organization, then you care a damn. A, it's not your money. B, it's such big bucks. And 3, which is what we come to, it doesn't run, close it down. It doesn't matter. Earlier, it would be an insult. I mean, you know, Mr. Tham of Mandarin restaurant did what not to continue with his restaurant in whichever manner he could, because the food was so great, and it would be sacrilegious to think of shutting your restaurant down. Today, nobody bats an eyelid. I mean, even as we speak, there'll be 5 restaurants closing down. But I have a charge also against restaurateurs or hoteliers or what have you. You know, for example, if we can give bloggers a bad name, some justified, some not, you can actually also point fingers at this lot. Because I'll tell you, we received a letter in our office which said, hi, you know, we are relaunching our Chinese restaurant, and we'd love you to come over and, you know, eat a meal. This was in the Grand Hyatt at Kalina. I've got to take names because you've got to know what is what. Not that I'd like to run anybody down. And so Rosina from my office called them and said, you know, okay, no. So and the next line was, please come have a meal, and what we'd like you to do, what we expect from you, are 5 what?
Instagram. 5 Instagram.
5? Huh? 5 favorable reviews. The catchword is favorable. That's Rosina. So 5 favorable reviews. And she rang them up and said, what's this? You actually telling us to come have a meal, and then you're asking us to give you 1 post on Instagram, 1 on Facebook. So they said, no, sorry, please ignore it. This mail was not meant for you, it was for bloggers. That's mean, and that's what they're doing. So you're under charge. Now you tell me, would you do that? Tell people, come have a meal and, you know, we'll give you this?
See, I don't think we are saying that. I wouldn't, but...
No, you're representing the restaurant.
Yeah. So, we hire PR agencies.
Fair enough.
Our PR agencies are dictating a lot what to do to restaurants who are last, say, 5 years old, who are funded, who are new, who don't know their food too much, don't have too much of faith in their own self, like we are discussing. You know, they just opened a business, they're looking at the balance sheet, they're feeling sales are dipping, ask for help. Who do you ask for help? Only the platform which gives you instant mileage, that's social media. So I wouldn't do it as per se, but the PR agencies are ensuring that you leverage yourself everywhere. So it may be a mistake.
Okay. We are discussing on who stirs the pot and who calls the shots. Actually, I'd like to change the who stirs the pot to what's stirring the pot. If you can just shift the emphasis. What is stirring this pot? What is driving people to come to restaurants
You're
and
saying
try and
what's
eat?
trending?
Is it food which has got to look very Instagrammable and very good? Pooja, you are out of this because your food will look good. I mean, chocolates and cakes just will look
But
good.
actually, I want to say, as much as people will go once to Instagram something, if your product is not good, they're not going to keep coming back to take pictures of it. So
That is what I'm saying.
So the product
No,
has to drive.
but
more so.
bloggers, if it's an ordinary dal with a little garlic tadka, they'll be shooting it saying, and then using one of those 5 or 6
Yeah, but
adjectives.
that's one, like that's not the percentage that gets you business. So they can keep going back, but a customer won't go back if they don't enjoy the food or they don't like the product.
No, but that is what I'm saying. I mean, do customers even go? Because, most people, they'll choose probably, this is awesome food, fantastic, amazing, orgasmic. That's one word, orgasmic food. I mean, yes, I love dal chawal, but I won't put it in orgasmic category, So what do you think? I mean,
More missionary.
Huh?
Missionary food.
So what is actually driving people to restaurants? Would somebody from the audience tell me that? I mean, tell me, how many of you really read bloggers? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and how many of you actually read them and then go to that restaurant? Huh? If you can afford it. What?
If you can't afford it, become a blogger.
No, I think
No,
that's
no.
I
think
think
that's
we should cut that out.
No, I think that's a very good point because, when blogs started, people were writing about the food which they were eating. So so I was in my early 30s. I would not write about 5 stars. I would write about reasonably expensive or basic sort of thing. Youngsters would write about like college canteens and stuff. But today, what's happening with bloggers, and which was the deal earlier with journalists as well, is that they were getting invited to write about restaurants which they could not afford or go to otherwise. So if you're writing only about like the table or Bombay canteen or this, that, fact of the matter is that everyone can't eat there. I mean, what about the Luckies or the Beros biryanis or, no one's writing about them.
Yeah, actually, in all fairness, when it all started, the people who got on to understood the whole blogging thing, and they were passionate about it, began as a hobby, and then later on, why should you not monetize it, which is all fair. But now, like I said earlier, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Now that there are so many restaurants, and all those restaurants want all those eyeballs and want all those footfalls, naturally then everybody will be doing so. Everybody has seemed to have just jumped onto this gravy,
trail.
Yeah.
There are people, our chefs also saying, sir, we should put this dish on the menu. It's very Instagrammable. I hear that. I said, okay, let's see.
But what's wrong with that? I mean, think of
There's
yourself
nothing wrong
as,
in it.
No,
There's
no,
nothing wrong.
No. Think of yourself like when you were a kid, like your mother would make things more attractive, roll them into little balls and say that this is a crow's egg, nest eggs. We want excitement when we are eating. So, I now eat at home and I eat dal chawal and red rice and black rice.
No.
But I take out pretty plates, you want your food to look
Yeah, but
good.
it should
You're
not be
talking-
at the cost of a compromise.
Exactly.
No, but
you're
why?
talking
It
about the
needn't
mother.
be a compromise.
The mother always comes with a precursor that it's tasty food.
Yeah,
The
yeah, but-
Instagrammable food
but-
is not necessarily
No,
tasty.
it doesn't have to be either or.
But I mean, for all of you who are aspiring Instagrammers and bloggers, I must tell you, I just heard about this 2 days ago. There's now an app you can download and click your picture and put it in there, and the app actually tells you nice, catchy captions. Did you know this? Now there are capture, you have to do nothing. Just get up and shoot the picture and download this app and you'll get a very nice catchy.
Earlier they only told us calories.
Yes, it's quite amazing. So how do we conclude? Is it safe to say that there is credibility to bloggers and it's they who are stirring the pot? Okay, all those you over here, we'll do a hand count. Or should we yell? All those who think that they're credible, authentic, and whatever else, raise your hand and that you would follow. Sorry? Okay, I'll repeat the question. What I want is you to raise your hand or scream yes if I say that bloggers are needed, they're good, they're authentic, and okay, somebody wants to answer that?
No, I
Okay,
just
so would you say they're a necessary evil or they're really helpful?
see, they may be helpful sometimes, but ultimately it is about the food and the flavor. You don't have to get scared of bloggers.
Hold this to your mouth, we can't hear a word.
No, I'm saying, you can hear me? Yeah. See, what I'm saying is that it is not about the bloggers.
It is not about the blogs.
No, it is about the food and the flavor, ultimately.
Yeah, the food is the hero, so that means
You don't have to worry about the blogger.
how will you know there's food over there and what kind? We're talking about the medium which comes to your focus.
Can I give you an example? Yeah, I'll stand. Can I give you an example?
Yes.
I'd read a review, not by a blogger, but by a critic in Pune Times of one restaurant, and he really badmouthed the restaurant. But the description of the restaurant intrigued me. We went and we enjoyed the food.
So then perhaps he was not paid.
No, it was not paid. It was
Not you,
paid.
that
No,
guy's
no.
review.
No, it was not a paid review because those people were not even aware that they had got
But
a
that
bad
is why,
review.
perhaps, so then you're proving my point, or
Yeah,
not my
so-
point, but the larger point.
So it says every review, good or bad, is good for business. You may get intrigued to go and try that restaurant.
Yeah, see, Amrish is one of those who likes a positive critique or a critique. He's open to critiques, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is different. Okay, I'm glad there are lots of you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just would like to make a point. I think blogging as a community is required for the hidden gems, who do not have the money power for branding. And I have read, Kalyan, several articles, about a sleepy shop around in the corner of, say, Calcutta, which is great food. Not many people will know about
I'm
it.
completely
And I'm
on the
so
same
glad-
page with you for that.
I'm
because
so glad that that is what we require the blogging community to do, definitely.
I agree with you fully because long ago, a lot of little hole in the wall places and all those kind of things which we would never know otherwise, and they're not even interested in publicizing, that these Charlies all get to the fore, which is fantastic. So I agree with you.
I think
and
the
I am for
bloggers are
that.
required.
Even Rashmi calls us Charlies.
Farzana, I think
Sorry?
we have time for one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
You keep talking about how bloggers aren't authentic.
We can't hear you.
You keep talking about how bloggers aren't authentic. What do you mean by authenticity here? How are they not authentic?
We're talking about credibility.
You say authenticity a lot.
Also, an authentic, what is a good blog? If the blogger goes and writes about the restaurant and talks about the dishes there, instead of just saying it's awesome, it's good, it's bad.
She's talking about the knowledge of the blogger about his food. His knowledge on food, whether he knows anything about food
How
or
in-depth
drink.
is his knowledge?
The person who's sitting next to
Transparencies.
you, he recently ate a macaroon for the first time and he's a very renowned blogger.
No, not.
Right?
He ate it when she first long ago did it.
No,
And
no,
in fact, he
8 or 9
honestly-
years
I'm
back.
just saying, even the person who, Ronak, I think his name is,
Yes.
the one who started Mumbai Foodie, he said that he started because he was passionate. You don't get to be a blogger just because you've read enough or you know enough. That's how the process starts. Blogging is also a learning process. So you don't have to have all your credentials in order to become a blogger.
That is
So-
exactly what Kalyan said.
No,
Thank
He
you.
said, no, you're getting agitated. That is exactly what he said, and I use the word evolve.
You
So
said,
evolve.
I'm sorry, you said bloggers, bachchas. You said bloggers are all bachchas who don't know anything.
Yes.
And you also said that we don't read the newspaper, which on the sidelines is not true. We are well informed.
I think you're taking
Can I
this
just
very
make a
personally.
point
Are
here,
you?
please?
Huh?
Can I just make one point about what this lady has spoken
Yes.
about? One question, that's it. To the gentleman who has started the blog, which is Mumbai Foodies.
Hi.
Huh?
Have you ever been to a catering college?
I haven't.
Thank you.
Okay, you can
That
rest your
doesn't
case.
matter.
But
Can I just end this very peacefully? I'll just, to all those ladies here, the bloggers don't have to be foodies. The bloggers have to be good influencers for everybody to review them or like them. I think that's the difference between a foodie and a blogger.
and when we say the word bacha, it is not derogatory.
Please don't call us
it just
bacha.
means they don't have enough experience. He owned up to the fact that when he first came, he did not have that kind of a knowledge. He did not eat so many kind of things. He didn't go to 5-star restaurants. So that is what we're talking. We
No,
must
that is
in
not
life.
what you
In
said.
life,
You
never
said that
take
people
things
who
personally.
don't have credibility cannot be bloggers. That's what you said.
What?
And
Farzana,
now
I think